Arizona will not be able to cast its votes for president. To my knowledge, no state in the history of our country has ever missed that deadline, and Arizona does not want to be first.
I think you saw how surprised I was there when Jen Marson said that back in October here on Square Off. Will Arizona be the first state to miss the deadline for certifying its presidential electors and possibly delay the naming of the winner in the presidential election? Arizona counties, which run our elections, are calling on the legislature to deal with this looming crisis immediately. Those calls began back in September. But will that happen? We're back with Capitol reporter Mary Jo Pitzl of the Arizona Republic. Mary Jo, this is being called a calendar problem that's being exacerbated by Arizona's new automatic recount law. Can you walk us through what the problem is?
Yeah, the problem is that the automatic, we got a taste of what the automatic recount means last year when we had a couple of legislative races, and I think the school superintendent race were so close that it triggered this new law. Well, that takes a while then to go do a new automatic recount. You've got to go recalibrate the tabulation machines. You've got to, visit each of the counties to do that. There is a time frame, so it extends. So I think by the time they were able to do the automatic recount, it was well into December. If that plays out in 2024, if we have a very close presidential outcome in the state, and it triggers the automatic recount law, it is possible that they couldn't get everything counted in time for the presidential electors to be determined and go and vote in the Electoral College.
And certified in Washington, and not because of any of what we saw in 2020.
No, it's a procedural. With a law that our state legislature approved and was signed, by the then governor.
And here's a reality check. If this law had been in place in 2020, there would have been an automatic recount in the Biden-Trump presidential race in Arizona.
That's why it
exists.
That's why they made the law.
But they didn't kind of play it out to see the calendar impact.
Yeah.
So what's being done? What's going on behind the scenes at the legislature, because this is taking a lot longer than the counties want.
Yeah, I've been told, well, we're talking. I did speak to Speaker Toma this week, or last week, and he said that he's not sure that a special session would be needed. You could do this with an emergency clause, which would mean you need 2/3 support from each chamber of the legislature, which might be hard to get. But, both parties they've got a stake in this. I mean, we don't know who the presidential nominees will be technically, but if it's Biden and Trump, it's a rematch. That's probably going to be really close in this state. So there seems to be a motivation for each party to want to get this done. But I haven't heard anything about a special session per se. Maybe we can just do this with an emergency clause, but they got to get it done pretty early because of all the procedural timelines.
And they made clear they're not going to. They could move the March presidential primary, but that's clearly not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Way too late for that. Ben Toma, House Speaker Ben Toma, had been talking about a special session as I researched this, and now you're saying that's not going to happen.
Well, he's saying he's not sure it's really needed.
Wendy Rogers, who controls the Senate Elections Committee, says, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. But she's not guaranteeing that she won't add any other election reforms, which Katie Hobbs probably would not sign off on.
In fact, Katie Hobbs has made that clear that she would not sign off. She wants a clean bill that would just, fix this glitch in the law. So there is a lot to be ironed out, and there's nothing like an emergency to force people to do something. I think we'll go right up to a deadline, and I'm really not quite sure what that deadline is. But I think you've got to have things done well before April, because that's the date when candidates, the deadline for them to qualify for the ballot in the primary election.
So 2 things they must do: pass a budget and fix this calendar recount issue.
Oh, but there'll be so many other things that will happen along the way.
Of course. Mary Jo Pitzl, thanks so much for joining us.